So how's that? And then we get back to our conversation.
Sounds good.
Good. So anytime we're ready. Cool.
This is Novena Cobb. She's the matriarch of the Cobb family, and she's Apache. This is the whole clan. They live on the San Carlos Indian Reservation. Speaking of clan, this is the Cobb at Belvedere. I didn't mention that Novena Cobb is my grandson's grandmother from the other side of the family. These are Zach's cousins. Zach is our grandson. This is Zach's grandfather, and you already know me. Come along, we're going to the San Carlos Indian Reservation. On our way there, we made a new friend, this cactus. Uh-oh, there's a lizard. Come along, it's time to go to the powwow. The powwow was a gathering of 11 tribes. The powwow lasted 3 days. There were about 1,100 people in attendance there at the powwow on the San Carlos Indian Reservation. Hey, let's go and have a dance. Break time, the drummers are gonna take a break. You'd be drumming, gee, I'm tired. You'd be tired too if you were drumming for 3 days. The food was good and the company was wonderful. Let's go like a herd of turtles, but no, make that buffalo. Let's go and take a rest here. Man, we really had a good time at the powwow. All the dancers, all the different tribes, the different colors. It was wonderful and very spiritual. And we enjoyed all your hospitality, and we'll see you again next year. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Now, from what I understand, you go every year, right?
That's correct.
It's just to the powwow, or what I'm trying to get to tell us is you go to either way or just for the powwow. What's your purpose for going?
I go, I take my grandson and my daughter, and we visit with his Apache grandmother from the other side of the family, and we try to get, we want him to keep the being proud of an Apache, being an Apache, not ashamed, and he was kind of worried because he had a skin that was darker than the other children, and he was always worried about that. Then when we got him there 2 years ago, he met his cousins who just took him out, and they did all sorts of fun things, and he got to visit with the family, and he got to meet all the different people in the family, the Cobb and Belvedere parts of the family, and they asked him, or we asked, who he was related to, and Mrs. Cobb, Novena, said he's related to everybody.
Everybody. Now, see, then last year, in 2004, I kind of got in the middle of it, where I was invited to come down and say hello to Novena.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, and if you remember, I got as far as Cannon de Chelly, and here came the sandstorms, and I never did make Novena. So, you know, I'm glad that you were able to relay that to us, because I would have went down and got some footage for you, and then I'm grateful that you were able to double back. And it was a hard trip, but you know, we would have went anywhere, but we couldn't get to the sandstorms at all.
I know it blocked you, and that was kind of frustrating for you, because I talked to you on the phone, and
yeah, I was almost there, you know, but it was like somebody parted the Red Sea. You just couldn't get to the sand whatsoever, so it just wasn't time to do that.
no, the timing was not right, and that's okay. That's all right.
Well, you know, being on the road and doing things like that, it's a lot of work, actually, and you get tired, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. And then your mind is always going, wondering what you're going to do next, and then you listen to the still small spirit, that guide that you have that tells you that you need to do this, you need to turn here,
Yeah.
be careful, look out. I want you to go here, and you listen to that small voice, and you taught me that. And quite a few times it saved my life.
We parted the weather for you coming home.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was doing it too, and after 3 hours of thinking about it and having it in my mind, that picture of parting the clouds in my mind, after 3 hours, I was gone. I was asleep. I had to pull over, and my wife had to drive.
Yeah.
Sweet Connie took care of it. And
Wonder if there's a law against out-of-body driving. You think that?
I don't know.
Probably is. Yeah, it's a law against everything, you know. But here again, back what I started out. Now, everybody, almost everybody I know that comes to, except CK, all the staff, nobody smokes except me, you know. So back to the smoking thing, but I believe that you all recognize that if I wasn't grounded, we wouldn't do any of this.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And also, right now, people don't know that you have, I'm kind of squealing. People don't know that you have a problem with your throat, with the thyroid. Is it your thyroid?
Yeah, don't hit your mic. Yeah.
And it's grown, and they supposedly had taken it out, but they didn't get all of it, and now it's growing, and it's causing you pain, and it's causing you a lot of headaches and different pain throughout your body. But you've tried to be a trooper and hang in there, but sometimes it gets a little bit irritating. And
Yeah.
To tell the people about what you go through.
Oh, well, okay. I have a tumor in a goiter that we can't get a handle on. I'm trying to write my second book, Remember in Your Future.
That's right.
I'm doing okay with that. I'm on page 64 already for those of you interested. Emotionally, I'm not so nice sometimes, but I think that has a lot to do with the earthquakes, and I'm a sensitive, so I pick up a lot of things. When I run into trouble in the studio, and you've actually witnessed that, Bernie has a handle on it. When I lose my voice or I start coughing, he cuts
Your mic.
He cuts the mic and swings around and pretends nothing happened, which in a way is a good thing, because when you cough and you can't breathe, even though the doctor assures me that not to worry about not breathing, that after 59 seconds, my body will remember to breathe. Say, hey, breathe, you know. And instead of me having to explain to the people around me, yesterday you said, how are you? What can I do? Well, when I'm choking like that, I can't tell you how I am. So thanks for asking, you know.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
But you also have a fear of passing on, and
I have a fear of passing on. I do? How's that?
the pain,
Oh, passing out.
Yeah, passing out. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, yeah, because I don't have a fear of passing.
No.
I just want to finish my book. Yeah, so I'm confident we're gonna finish, what we set out to do. We're on this planet for a time, and yeah, but passing out, that's a problem. I have to ask people to come to my house and sit with me, so while I'm cooking, the stove isn't on in case I do pass out.
That's right. You have a problem with that, and it's
Yeah.
just sometimes it's overwhelming, and people need to understand that when you do your programs and get everything together, there's a lot of producing going on. And Bernie and your staff here do a wonderful job. They've always been sweet and nice, and when you don't know where to go or what to do, they always seem to be there.
Yeah,
and I commend them.
Yeah, that's it. And we do need help, I know in some publications it always talks about everything at public access TV is free, and that's not the case from a producer's angle. We have a lot of, we have expenses, and we need a lot of help. And so I really appreciate people that go way out there, because I can't be, on the road, and I might not be able to go this year. So I really appreciate you and Connie going out to find the cactus and the lizard and
the snake.
And the snake, yeah, the snake. It's just like, oh, there's a snake. So we changed our mind on that one, yeah.
She's funny.
Yeah.
She has that thing. I need to correct something that I said, though. I said there was 11 tribes. Actually, there was 13.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the Apache Gold Casino sponsored the powwow, and they made it available for them to be undercover. Last year they did it under a tent, and it just poured down rain.
Rain, yeah.
And so they made the arena available to all the tribes, and it was wonderful. And I was trying to film where the energy was, and energy was everywhere. And the children were dancing, and for each one of the children that danced, they got $1 or $2. They'd line them up and then give them some money for going out there and showing their bravery. And that was quite an experience. And then in part of the tape, it showed one of the children didn't want to go out there, wanted Mom to come out. And she went out and danced with him and set the example. And that's what it's all about. It's a culture, a lovely culture.
When I go to the Navajos, which is right up the highway from there, we go dancing and people give us money, and I made $42 one time putting my gas tank. I must have did love that.
You did wonderful.
I did love dancing, yeah. But it's wonderful to reward people now. Was the whole thing open to the whole public, or did you have to get special permission to film now?
No, the whole thing was open to the public, and they didn't, when I asked about filming it, they said everyone can film, take pictures, and there was no problem. And everybody was sweet, but where I was sitting, I had people that were watching me film, and like you do, they see you filming and they'll get up and cut you off, stand up in front of you or turn, and maybe they just forget. Maybe, that's the best way to say it, that they just forget that you're behind them. But there was a lot of, all the tribes were going, and they were very interesting. Because they all danced, and they had different age groups that would go out and dance. 60 or older were the women, 60 or older were the men, and they would call for northern, eastern, southern, western tribes to go out and dance. And it was just, it was high energy for me, and I felt so wonderful. I was right behind some drummers, and the energy that they put out. People don't realize that when they have a drum, they put a spirit into it and a lot of love, and each one that stands or sits and hits that drum, it's very spiritual for them.
Well, and sometimes we have drummings, and for each drum beat, it magnifies by 10. So just imagine how, how that was. Now, you made a correction. I want to make a correction, too. We have the buffalo. Now, the buffalo is not native to that region until you get further down, but since all tribes were present, buffalo is more Dakota, that area. And we thought the buffalo looked good in there because you just got through with 12 shows called A Herd of Turtles, so we didn't want to do the turtle thing again.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we had enough of the turtle, so we changed that to a buffalo. Go back next year, you think?
Yes, I will go back next year. I'll take my grandson again along with my daughter. And I'm hoping that her husband can get time off. He is he's of Irish nobility, and I want him to bond with the Apache. He's the one that says it's all right, sweetheart, for you to go, along with Zachary, so he clears it. He said, it's all right, you go and have fun. But each time he would call and he'd say, gosh, I miss you, sweetheart. When are you coming home?
When are you coming home? We don't want to tell on him either. So
no, we won't squeal.
But here, isn't it amazing how we're trying to be non-judgmental and self-sufficient and everything? And I just realized I started to show off with, you need to do this, and I don't want you to do that, which kind of puts me on the same level with the people I'm complaining about.
Yes.
So I did realize that, so I did learn something today. And on the other hand, like you just said, I want him to do. Nobody needs to do anything except be at peace with themselves.
That's correct.
We're not going with this. Where did this come from? I don't know.
Well, we're just following the spiritual guidelines.
If for any reason, now the powers in our region here in the Northwest are a little different. It's a lot of ceremonial drumming and dancing that you're not allowed to film, and they will confiscate you.
Yeah, they'll take your camera
they'll
away.
Take your camera. We have a new, I think she's a staff member. When I came in, a young woman I met, I had never seen her before. She had connection to the Hopis, so don't go to the Hopis with a camera. They will take your camera.
Yeah, they won't let you film at all. Navajo either.
No, Navajo are pretty okay with filming, but you have to be respectful, Yeah.
That's right. That's correct.
Navajo is fine. But anywhere you go, when you go to a reservation, even if it's right up here to the casino, you are a guest on their land, whether it's in the middle of your county or not. When you go to a reservation, be respectful and honor their customs.
That's correct. In fact, you had somebody that went with you on a trip that didn't understand the respectfulness.
Yeah.
And it was very troublesome to you, but it worked out. Creator helped.
Yes, and well, in some kind of way, next week you promised to come back, because next week we're going to go shopping in Mexico, no?
That's right.
And here again, it's a cultural diversity here. Now, you live in the Granite Falls area, do you?
That's correct.
You were gone all winter. You have had nothing but earthquakes in Granite Falls. So are you ready for the...
Oh, I'm ready for it.
The moving and the shaking?
Well, in Granite Falls, Washington, they have rock quarries, and they're always using explosives to blow up parts of the mountain so they can get the rock down and put it into the crushers, and so that happens just about every day. And my daughter has a house there along with her husband that is cracking. It's got giant cracks through it because of the explosions, which cause earthquakes, and Mother Earth only tolerates so much.
Excuse me, I'm doing my coughing thing again. I can inject something here. On the webpage, highstrangeness.tv, we just put that up. You can now not only follow the earthquakes around the planet, you can now follow the solar flares. They got solar flare meters and things. So it's right there when you get there, because sometimes the solar flares affect what happens to the rest of the planet. And do you remember the iceberg that was on one of the grain shows on?
Oh, yes.
The iceberg is moving again. I heard it on the news this morning.
In fact, you shared a beautiful picture with me.
I've shown it here.
Where the iceberg is in the water, and a gentleman a diver was in the water, and it showed the top of the iceberg, which is as big as Rhode Island, but the bottom.
That was a different iceberg.
The bottom goes into the water, and it's very, very big.
Well, actually, we've had both of them. The one on the show Against the Grain, that's where we showed the iceberg from Long Island by trying to tell people it's just sitting there. We don't know what the consequences are. And then on one of the other shows, we showed what you're talking about, what it looks like on the bottom. But I'd like for you to know that iceberg is moving again. We watched a movie, which was great, The Core.
The Core, very interesting. Very interesting, where the Earth, on the inner side of the Earth, on the inside of the core that's so hot, loses its heat. And then we have scientists that go down and they activate it with bombs and heat it back up because we're losing the gravity. And it's causing animals and different things to be disoriented, and they can't fly. They fly into walls. And people are
Here.
Yeah.
Walking in the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very interesting. I was captivated with that one.
Science fiction.
Yes.
Or so they say, but very possible.
That's right.
So it's out on video, so if you want to go, highly recommend it, The Core. Very good movie.
Very good movie to watch.
So what's next for you?
Well, we're going to find somewhere to stay, and I'll be close to my grandchildren and try to help with them and work with the spirituality and just try to be around people and share love and light.
Now, you are not homeless per se?
No, we have a fifth wheel, and
Right,
that's
yeah.
our home.
By choice, and that was a good transition for you?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I've gotten used to it. I was getting kind of a cabin fever here about 6 months ago, but it's gone. We go to Yuma, Arizona, towards the foothills. That's where we stay. In the desert, it's not brown. It's green. And there's all sorts of flowers that are coming out, purple, green, blue, yellow. And I imagine the animals are kind of confused, too, because of the rain. The coyotes were coming in close. And if people had small dogs in their yard, they ended up missing. The coyotes would take them.
I heard that, I heard that seed in Death Valley, seeds were activated. Back to the seeds for a minute. Seeds were activated, they haven't bloomed in 100 years. So, of course, now I haven't learned what I did about genetically engineered seeds. I'm just wondering how long it'll take before they run through there and collect all the seeds and patent them. I can see it now, Death Valley seeds.
Yes.
$100 for 3 seeds. I see it. Yeah.
Plus, Death Valley has, it's rained so much there that they've got a lake. And they've been out there with the cameramen, and they've been filming it, but I don't see it on TV.
Now, last year you went by one of the lakes where they, where they searched all the motorhomes for whatever reason. Has that part of the madness of Homeland Security calmed down a little bit, would you say?
No, they
No?
still search. We went over the dam. I'm trying to think of which one it is.
It's
Hoover?
Hoover Dam, Cooley Dam,
Cooley.
Grand Cooley Dam.
Yeah, Grand Cooley Dam. And they searched us. They went in and he checked all my bins in my fifth wheel, and then he said, "You're all right to go." But they do search.
But that's better than before. I don't know if that was you telling me, but I think in 2003 where people had to take everything out of their RVs.
That's
and
right.
It just got laid onto the highways.
They were making us do that, but this
Was
time,
that you that told me
yeah,
that?
they now they just they go in and look. They check things out. They walk back and forth inside. They look outside. They look into the bins, and then they release you to go. But they still check.
Well, either way, that's a good thing. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that when we go on the road in fifth wheels and RVs, we have everything we do that we would have at home, like we cook and we have knives and hammers, and because sometimes, especially when you go to the reservation, you drive for a whole day and never see a gas station or anything. So if you have a problem, you need tools, you need things like that. So do they make allowances for that, or could that be considered weapons?
They make allowances for that. There are things that they saw in there, and he just made allowances for it. I have hatchets and knives and
Machetes?
machetes. Yeah, I do have those, and they made allowances
Make allowances for that.
Yes. They're very nice, very professional, not belligerent at all. All they're doing is their job, and I appreciated that. Really, I have met some that are a little over enthusiastic, but the ones that I've met in the last 2 years are really wonderful. They just do their job. They look like they're supposed to, and then they let you go. And they're worried about a bomb, something blowing up the dam, and I can understand the concern.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, but a lot of people, when they go on the road, first of all, when you go on a journey, you're going to get where you get when you get there.
That's right.
But a lot of people just end up, they want to go from point A to point B, and if there's any deviation, especially if you don't have hotels and things in between, like I said, sometimes we have to drive a whole day to get to the next thing, and anything that upsets that little schedule, they are not happy.
No, they're not.
Yeah. And then they want to cut you off.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. They get road weary, I guess you'd call it. And
So back to the reservation for a minute. When you take your fifth wheel to the reservation, especially one of the bigger one, you let them know you're there. What is your steps of going to the reservation?
well, Apache Gold Casino there has a parking, and it's $12 a night. It's full hookup, electricity, and all the things you need for your fifth wheel or RV. And when we get there, we make a phone call to Novena and let her know that we're available, and we just try to check on schedules so we can all meet together as a family. And she has a lot of people that have passed on. Her sister's husband passed on into the spirit world, and she was there with a wake.
A wake, yeah.
And they go for a week when there's a wake. And so she was helping out with that, with the family and the food, and taking care of others. And then she has her husband, who is he's having his difficulties with his illnesses, and he's been close to passing over into the spirit world too, but he's hanging in there. He's trying to do the best he can.
Yeah, we do wish him well. Now, Cheyenne, Navajo, Utes reservations have no facilities for RVs. I want to get back to that for a minute. You just have to, usually go to the tribal center and say, this is who I am. Because if you break down or something like that, they like to know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You can just pull over and park, but they make exceptions for maybe your vehicle breaks down or anything. I find no problem with picking up people that walk. I have never felt weary or uncomfortable picking up anybody walking because, for instance, sometimes people have, it said that they walk 60 miles to get a Coca-Cola and watch a train go by. So people walk all the time. And so if you see somebody in the middle of nowhere, you can stop and give them some water or something to eat. I've never felt threatened whatsoever. Have you?
No.
Yeah.
I have not felt threatened.
Mm-hmm. But I do pick up hitchhikers on what we consider, can't say that word, hitchhikers.
You did good.
Did I? Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
On the reservation. Food is good. A lot of fry bread.
That's right. A lot of fry bread. Oh my goodness. I just love fry bread. And that was another thing. When I went the first time, I didn't know what kind of a gift to take in the way of food. So I called you, and we talked about this on another show, but people should know that beans, pinto beans, rice, and what was the other one? Pinto beans, rice.
Lily rice. That's not the name. It's couscous, and some kind of way I took couscous to the Navajos, and it became lily rice. It's now
yes.
It's a word incorporated in language, I guess. So instead of saying how are you, did you have a good trip, they said, did you bring some lily rice? And we do, and it just ended up like that. Yeah. So couscous, they love couscous. Yeah, which is a North African dish. For those of you that don't know, that's from my home. Yeah. So. And you're going back towards the end of the year, is that it?
Yes. We'll go back probably in September or November.
Mm-hmm.
September or October, excuse me. And I want to, I have this thing for going through the desert. I just love to get my shirt off and put on a short pair of pants and walk through the desert and
That's how you sit on that cactus. That's not a good idea. I know what that feels like. I had to run in with one of those weird little things.
Oh my goodness. Chola.
Chola, that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was cholaed for weeks.
I started coming out of the RV. I was inside it, and I had a satchel and a couple coats and some things. And I stepped down on a cactus that had a rock, and then I did a somersault, and I landed, and I had this chola in my left hand, and so I broke it off.
You protected it, didn't you?
Yeah, I had it. I pulled it off, and all these little stinger things are in my hand. Chola have barbs. And so when you pull it out, if you pull it out right away, it's very painful, so luckily I have no feeling in my fingers. Because of the operations that I had a doctor do.
I think we're almost at the end here. We're going to go back to the powwow in our ending shot, and you had 3 days a tape here, and we were trying to put the color guard together. And but we couldn't quite make it. And then there was a gentleman, one of the tribal members, said a prayer. Now we didn't put the prayer on there, but there was a long prayer. Do you know what language that was?
No, I do not. He was from I believe they said it was Mexico, southern Mexico, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure which tribe that would be.
Well, we're going to use some of that footage that you brought back, like, you know, because you had a lot of footage. It's probably going to show up in some of the other shows eventually, you know. But we really appreciated you doing that. And
Well,
we got to go.
I think next time I'm going to use the Zoom a little bit closer.
Yeah, that would be great. We got to go, and we'll see you. Are you going to come back next week? We're going to Mexico. Tell your lovely wife hello, and you come see us next week when we're going to Mexico. And in the meantime, be a little kinder to the smokers. They're paying a lot of your bills. We'll see you next week.
Love and light.
Love and light, yeah. Here we go.